Hello everyone. Today we are going to talk about vaccines and improving our immunity against coronavirus. For that, we have with us Dr. Raj Palaniappan.
Hi everyone.
There has been a lot of talk going on about improving immunity to fight coronavirus, and social media is basically burgeoning or totally overwhelming with notes about diet and medicine to boost the immunity. It has been said that more the immunity, the higher the chance that we will not get infected. So, what exactly is immunity? Can you explain to us about the various types of immunity?
See, immunity is the body's response to an infection, either a bacterial or viral or a fungal infection, by means of what we call as an antibodies. So it can be done by three major means in the body. One is called innate immunity. Innate immunity is the immunity that is in the genetical makeup of our body. We are born with it. Second is called adaptive immunity or active immunity. This is an ongoing process. With age, with time, we get infected. We develop antibodies against that disease which get infected, and we develop a lot of immunity towards the diseases. Vaccines are a part of an active immunity where instead of getting the infection and getting an antibody, we give in a vaccine and develop antibodies against it actively. Then we have what we call as a passive immunity. So passive immunity is a borrowed immunity. Immunity borrowed temporarily for some time from some other sources. Typical example is mother's milk after birth, where we get immunity from the mother against certain diseases for a small period of time before our innate immunity and active immunity takes over.
Okay, thank you. So you have discussed the types of immunity, but all the time I hear about herd immunity. Herd immunity. I only know about herd mentality, but what exactly is herd immunity that we need to overcome corona?
So herd immunity is something which Indians should know, where our herd mentality will help us to achieve it. So, immunity is one where two-thirds of a population gets the antibody against a particular disease. When a pandemic like COVID happens, more than 65 to 70% of the population needs to develop antibodies so that the pandemic gets cut. So it won't be a widespread disease anymore. It might be a small flu in one season, in one small corner of a place, or very few people get affected. To get to that stage, you need antibodies in more than 65-70% of the individuals. That is when we call this as herd immunity. And that is what we are aiming at right now in developing around the whole world.
Okay. So, as you say, vaccines play a very important role in getting our active immunity. So, it looks like we cannot actually survive in the new world without vaccines, especially against the new viral infections. Now, medical community and governments across the globe have basically been recommending the public to get vaccinated. So, can you put some light on vaccines and why is it so important for us to get vaccinated against coronavirus?
So, see, when it comes to vaccination, as I told you before, vaccine is one important way of developing active immunity without getting the disease. Especially in corona, since there is a 1% to 2% chance of mortality, which is very high, we cannot wait for 1 crore or 1.5 crore people to die to get that immunity in the whole community. So we need to work pretty early to get that. And vaccination is the only way to get that early, or you have to be on lockdown for years together until this goes off. So no country can afford that. So vaccination is pretty important. That is why health community and government are pushing towards vaccination. Get vaccinated. That is the only way to save yourself from the disease. And this is exactly they talk about it to get the herd immunity in place.
What are the different kinds of vaccines? So,
Okay, so when it context of different kinds of vaccines, there are mainly four types of vaccines we have in the world. One is called as a live attenuated vaccines. So where the real virus is taken, made inactivated, and sent into the body so that the virus cannot replicate but can cause antibodies against it. So it is like the virus is made impotent.
right.
This will create antibodies. The second is called viral vector. Viral vector type is what we do is where we completely get the virus, a different type of virus,
Okay.
modify it to look like a virus. For example, virus B is taken and modify it to make it look like a coronavirus and
Okay.
sent inside. That will cause antibodies against the corona as well. This is called viral vector type. Then we have a completely called as mRNA type. So where the surface RNA of a virus is taken and chemically created, which will the chemical will mimic like a virus RNA and creates an antibody, towards it. So these are the types of vaccines you have, which can be used in our day-to-day
So
life.
which are the ones which we have, right?
So we have Covishield and Covaxin. Covishield is a viral vector type of vaccine where a third virus is taken up and modified to look like a coronavirus and had this effect. Covaxin is a live attenuated vaccine where the COVID vaccine virus is inactivated and passed into your body. So these are the available two vaccines what we have. The future vaccines of Pfizer, Moderna, which is very famous in the US and Europe, are all mRNA type of vaccines we have.
Okay.
Even Sputnik is a viral vector type of a vaccine.
Like Janssen and
Like Janssen as well.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So now then why is it that shouldn't it be made mandatory? Like shouldn't vaccination be made mandatory for everybody?
See, there are reasons why it is not made mandatory because it's so, even though that's a good question because even though it's very important to get vaccinated, people ask why it's not made mandatory, why it's not made free. It's not made mandatory basically because of 135 crore population. If we wanted to make mandatory for everybody to be vaccinated straight away, it takes 6 months of the whole world to manufacture the vaccine for India alone. So we picked the vulnerable population first, the healthcare workers, the frontline workers,
The most exposed
the
ones.
most exposed ones, then the elderly ones with the comorbidities, and they vaccinated them first. So then the vulnerable population is partly vaccinated. Then came the second, the 45 years old population. Now we are 3 months, 4 months into vaccination. We wanted 18 years and above as well to come into the picture. Unfortunately, the population is so heavy, we don't have too much of a vaccine in hand to go ahead with everybody at the same time. And why not free? Okay, a lot of countries do it free because of the population. They are very pretty small. If India needs to be vaccinated, it can be very expensive to do that, but still in my opinion more people can be vaccinated if it is given free,
Yeah. Something like the polio.
like a polio vaccine as well. Yes, true.
Polio drops, right? And now currently in India there is Covishield and Covaxin that is available, and there's a lot of conflicting information. Like Covishield is better, Covaxin is better. So which do you feel is better?
As of now, we have about 70% success rate in both the vaccines. One is not better over the other. There are some side effects of Covaxin, some side effects of Covishield. But having said all those things, made in India is promoted much more than other vaccines. I'm proud of it. But still, whichever vaccine you get hold of, please get it done.
Okay. There's also been a lot of confusion about the timing of the vaccination, um, like whether it is 1 month, and some now are saying that it is 2 months, some are saying 45 days, and also. What is your opinion?
As I told before, still we are learning how the vaccination is working because we are running short of time and we have no choice but to release the vaccines early. When Covishield and Covaxin started in India, there were clinical trials available only with 1 month difference between both the doses of vaccines. So, with that in mind, we allowed 1 month difference between both the doses. Subsequent tests happened in the last year. What happened is Covishield, the first dose gave plenty of antibodies, which can hold on for more duration. So when we space the second dose to 2 months, still the effect was good. Space to 3 months, still the effect was good. So the trial what happened so far is only up to 3 months. So they allowed the spacing of dose 1 to dose 3 3 months. The biggest advantage is you have that much amount of vaccine available for the first time vaccinator. Instead of giving two vaccines within the span of 2 months to one person, you can have three vaccines given in the span of 3 months to three new person, and then the next dose starts. So what happens is you have plenty of time for the next dose to happen, and this helps in more people to be vaccinated. When it comes to Covishield, the first dose is not as effective as the Covishield, but the second dose gives a good immunity
You mean to
against
say the Covaxin?
Covaxin. So you need to spend the Covaxin within a span of two doses in the span of 1 month. So the Covaxin span stays 1 month, whereas the Covishield span becomes 3 months.
Okay. So now there have been talks about new vaccines coming in, like Sputnik and Pfizer and all that. So can you, like, when will they be available for us?
Okay, Sputnik has already come into the market in Andhra Pradesh, and it might be available anytime in the weekend or next week in Tamil Nadu and other parts of the country as well. The good thing about Sputnik is, as per studies, they have a 90% success rate, and Sputnik is coming again with a single dose vaccine as well in shortly. So we might have a single dose Sputnik as well. Pfizer again has a very good success
Rate.
rates of 90% or above.
Yes.
Again, as I told, Sputnik is a vector based like Covishield, whereas Pfizer is mRNA type of a vaccine, same as Moderna. And two dose Pfizer is coming. Maybe they are negotiating for the sale of the Indian government, and single dose Pfizer also might come early next year as well. But the icing on the cake is nasal vaccine like the polio, which might
Nasal drops are
drops
coming in.
as
Oh, that would
like
be great.
that is coming in is in a phase 2 study, which might come in a few months, and I believe by end of the year we'll be bombarded with a lot of vaccines to choose from.
That will be great. So, but in spite of such a lot of good news, there is a lot of news about so much of death and so much of infection in spite of vaccination. So, if you are not fully protected even after against the virus, even after vaccination, then what? Why go for vaccination?
Okay, so there are two things which you need to understand comes to vaccination. I told you it's 70% success rate with that. So still there are 30% chance people get infected. But even if they get infected, since they have good antibodies, the severity of the disease is going to be very less. Once the severity becomes less, the mortality becomes less as well. 1 to 2% chance of mortality in COVID affected non vaccinated patient, it becomes 0.006% when it comes to in vaccinated patients. So that is a major reason that you need to be vaccinated. So you are not completely safe. We are mostly safe from the reinfection and mortality through that. For that reason, need to get in vaccinated, and also for the development of a herd immunity.
Okay. Okay, so what is this immunity passport and why is it important? And I think you should really throw light on it, doctor, because we saw you with that immunity passport.
Okay, immunity passport is a more like a vaccination passport where you get both your vaccine doses done and produce that for you to travel outside the country. This is pretty important right now because all countries are going to open up in the near future, slowly opening up. And when India is ready to open up, when you need to travel outside the country, you need to have the immunity passport. The problem again is what kind of a vaccine the immunity passport can carry. As of now, Covishield is the only vaccine that we use in India that is allowed for an immunity passport scenario. We don't have Covaxin allowed by WHO as an authorized emergency vaccine for COVID. It's sad that Indian made vaccine has this delay, but I think there is some shortage of some paperwork submitted to the WHO, which I think in the coming weeks or months we'll be able to sort this out, and we will have Covaxin also added for
The immunity
immunity passport as well. Yes.
Okay. So looks like Corona is here to stay. So
True.
and we are still not on top of it. So a lot has been said about our health infrastructure and the policies being very deficient and needing restructuring and all that. So with such a backdrop, so what will be your take-home message, Doc, for the public and for the immunity and the vaccines, about immunity and vaccines?
So the take home message for me is, let us be very, very careful about how we approach things from here on. We done our mistakes, it's time we learn from it. Follow social distancing whether you are vaccinated or not vaccinated, because you still might be a carrier and still may get infected as well if you're vaccinated. If you're not vaccinated, get vaccinated, whether it's a Covishield or Covaxin or the new Sputnik, or in the future, whatever vaccine comes. Get yourself vaccinated at the earliest for two reasons. Reason number one, to save yourself. Reason number two, to save the country by giving much more antibodies to the whole world to get the whole country to get a herd immunity. This is pretty important. Stay home, stay safe, get yourself vaccinated. Thank you.
Thank you.